Hello and welcome to Laurence Plays Factorio Planetary Pioneers. In the last video, I went through all the different planets we've added to our next space age run, and then had a look at the various other mods we put in that also add things into the game. So now I'm going to move on to what I'm calling display mods, and these are things that don't actually have any direct effect on the way the game plays or what you can do, but it shows things in a slightly different way. So, first on the list, as a good example, is the resource map label marker. And that creates these labels you can see on the map here. So we're saying we can see the 173,000 stone here, the 79,000 peat, 103,000 gold, and so on. So it labels all of the patches you found scattered around the world and makes it much easier to find all the resources on your planet. No longer will you have that standard problem of stone patches disappearing into deserts or just rummaging around trying to find the oil patch on your planet. This makes it much easier to spot all of the various resources that are available to you. The next one on the list is the belt visualiser. If I mouse over a belt somewhere and then press G, it'll show you where that belt goes and where it comes from. And if you press it again, you can toggle between different sides of the belt like this, which is quite nice. So it gives you an idea of where your belts go. If I do it on the other side of this splitter and select that one, then it shows both of these belts because both of those belts can feed to this point. So you can see this gives me it's a nice way of finding where a particular belt goes when it's winding through your spaghetti. I could change to just showing this one, for example, and now it's hiding this area, so I can just see where that belt goes. Lovely. Interestingly, if you have a belt that side loads like this one, if I select this belt, then you can see it now shows only this one side of the belt over here. So because we're side loading, the stuff that comes down this belt will only ever end up on the left side or the port side of this belt that goes along here. But if I put in another piece of belt like that, then when it updates, there you go, you can see it's now been merged over and it's going down both sides of the belt. So it's clever enough to pick that sort of thing up as well. If I poke here, then it doesn't include this one because nothing from here can ever get onto this bit of belt or vice versa. But if I select here, then it will select this bit of belt because that could potentially feed this area of the belt. So it's a good way to trace where stuff is coming from or where stuff can come from in your factory as well. This is obviously a fairly small, trivial example, but you can imagine on a much bigger area, perhaps your entire main bus, it could be quite useful to see where things are being fed to. Next on the list is Pieter's Belt Upgrader. This mod was produced by one of the guys on my Discord server, and if you click on a belt, then it marks it for upgrade like that, and my bots are automatically doing so. And it will go it will run along the belt all the way to a splitter or to anywhere where the belt stops being, well, that belt. Apparently it's also done this side-loaded one here as well, which I wasn't actually expecting, but sure, apparently it does that as well. And I believe it should also run through underground. So if I do this one here, yes, there you go. It's set all of this for upgrade now, and there we go. We've been able to upgrade it all to red. And this is going to be incredibly useful for those times when you want to upgrade your entire main bus or another long belt that winds its way through the factory, but you just can't but it's a pain to get to all the little fiddly bits because maybe it tangles up with other things, it's got underground in it, that sort of thing. So it's difficult to just whack an upgrade planner across the whole thing. So I'm looking forward to using this one. The next one, while we're still talking about belts, is the underground visualizer. So this shows at all times, when you're waving an underground belt around like this, it shows you at all times how far underground it can reach, and so where you'll be able to put the other end of it. So you could use that to judge where you need to put an underground in order and where the other end will come up. And it saves you having to count squares. So if I know that if I put a red underground here, I can put the other end of it here, and they will meet. But I wouldn't be able to do that with a yellow underground because there's only one spare space in the length of it. Next up we have Clean Floor. This makes sure that decoratives like these little bush shrubby things get removed when you place flooring down over the top of them. Quite a lot of people get irrationally upset about, or maybe rationally upset, who am I to say, about the little bits of vegetation poking up through their pristine factory floor. It doesn't work on trees though. They are not decoratives. Those are actual things that you just chop down. And interestingly, it hasn't got rid of that tree trunk. Let's get rid of it. And okay, now having pulled it up again, it has got rid of it. Let's try that again. Let's chop a tree down here. So we've got a tree trunk, and I now put that over the top. Yes, there we go. Now that was a decorative, so we've got rid of that the remaining tree trunk there. So yeah, you can see how that works and why people would want to have it, especially as Marc is quite obsessed with paving over entire planets from time to time. Next on my list is the Inserter Throughput mod. So if I hover over these inserters, you see this one has a speed of 3.33 per second. This one has a speed of 9.23 per second. So this is almost 3 times as fast as that. Well, almost 2 to 3 times as fast. It gives you an idea of how much faster an inserter is. And if I also put in a stack inserter, you can see that does almost 37 items per second. If I put in a quality 5 stack inserter, then we've got 96 items per second. So it allows you to quickly and easily compare the various different inserters you're using. It's also smart enough to detect whether you're placing into another box, in this case 37 items per second, or in this case onto a belt, which would mean only 11.71 items per second. So you get a feel for how quickly the inserter can possibly run. We have the No Remote View Border mod installed, which, as the name implies, removes the border from around the edge of the remote view here. So you can see there is no border, which I think it looks a bit nicer. It's going to make enough for nicer screenshots, and it's just a bit of a waste of space when you're looking at other planets, because you probably know you're on remote view, and if you don't, you'll find out pretty quickly when you try to move or shoot something. We have a mod that is intended to hide the minimap up in the top right corner when there's too much stuff trying to be displayed. It doesn't seem to be working at the moment, which is a little bit odd, because I'm pretty sure when I mouse over this and there's loads of stuff there in the right panel, it should hide the minimap so it can show a bit more of it. I'm not quite sure why that's not working, because it seemed to be working before and was a bit oversensitive, if anything, so now it seems to be a bit undersensitive. I'll have to have a look into that, and we'll take a look at it as we get it further into the game. We have a playtime display, which shows up here in the top left. It shows how long we've been playing for. Gives us an idea of how much of our lives we've wasted. 2.5 hours so far on this particular map for me. We have redrawn space connections, which makes the map look a little bit neater and tidier, and draws the lines in a bit more nicely. There's a couple of other ones as well, but we decided that just having this one seemed to produce a nicer looking map than the enforced social distancing and the other redraw option that was available. Tiers, I think it was called. So we've just gone for the one of them, but there are more alternatives available if you're interested in playing with them. We have visible planets in space turned on as well, which, well, I've gone to Cerys because we don't actually have any space platforms at the moment for me to demonstrate with. But from Cerys, you can see Fulgora in the background down there, and it puts that sort of thing in for space platforms as well. On top of that, we've added the Visible Planet Scale mod, which adjusts the size of the planet based on its gravitational strength. So you'll see a variety of different size planets depending on how big they should actually appear. And this is entirely cosmetic, but it makes it feel quite a lot nicer if you can tell which planet you're over, but just by sort of looking out the window of your spaceship. We have the automatic train and station painting mods turned on, along with the Fluid Wagon colour mask. And this colours the stations based on the colour of the train going to them, and colours a train based on what it's carrying. So if you pick up a load of green circuits, the train will go green, and the station it's going to will also go green. If you pick up a load of light oil, then the fluid wagons will go yellow as well. So all these things are going to be nicely coloured. You can tell at a glance what's in a train, or at least you can tell at a glance what's probably in a train. Where I think this is going to be most interesting is with LTN multiple drop stations. So if you have a station that can accept green circuits and red circuits and iron and copper, it'll be switching between green and red and orange and grey, depending on what's actually coming to it at that particular moment. And so I think keeping an eye on those stations will give you an idea of what's about to be delivered, and could look quite nice. We have the Bottleneck Light mod installed as well. So that gives your buildings these little lights in the corners of them that tell you what their current status is. In this case, we've got a green light for a machine that is currently working, and we've got a yellow light on a machine that is unable to output. So it could, in theory, carry on digging stuff up, but it's already output, and its output slot is full, so it can't do any more. You can also get a red light on a machine that is trying to make something, but doesn't have the inputs to do so. We have bullet trails turned on, so when turrets start shooting things, you can tell what they're shooting at because you get these nice lines drawn across the screen to show you where the shooting is happening, what they're targeting, and where the bullets are going. We've installed a custom map colours mod, which recolors things on the minimap to make it, in theory, a bit easier to tell what's going on. So here, this is a yellow belt, so it's shown in yellow. These are red belts, so they're shown in red. Fluid things over here seem to be shown in purple. It makes things a little bit easier to tell what's what and understand the different and read the map. At least that's the theory. We're going to find out whether it's actually any good or not, but you know, if it just churns the colours around a bit, it's probably not going to make that much difference. But if it makes it a little bit easier to tell what's going on, then it could well be worth it. In our space exploration run, we tracked all of the deaths we had, so who died, what killed them, and where it happened. But we were doing that manually. Tristan was making a list and checking it twice, and putting blobs on the map with skulls and people's names by them. Now we've installed mods that will do that automatically for us. So we've got complex death messages, so when somebody dies it'll pop up saying something a bit more interesting, probably saying something along the lines of Laurence has just been killed by Mike, because that's what usually ends up happening, or Tristan has had his face eaten by a giant biter, or that sort of thing. It'll give you a bit more of an idea of what's happened. It should also tag the deaths on the map and also count them as well. Similarly, on the tracking things front, we have the milestones mod installed, which shows various things and when you managed to achieve them. So when you made your first red science pack, and also when you made your first 1,000 red science packs, when you made trains, when you made rockets, when you made EM plants, and so on. This doesn't seem to have any modded things in there. Actually, it's not quite true. We've got a couple of snappers down here. So we've got a couple of things modded in here. I think we're going to have a look and see if we can expand the milestones mod, because I know it's very expandable, but it looks like we haven't actually got the expansions in there at the moment, because there's a lot more science packs than that, I'm sure, and going to be a lot more challenges and a lot more things for us to investigate. But when you do a thing, then you get a little timestamp like this one that tells you when you managed to make that particular thing, and that just gives you a feel for how the game's gone when you did things for the first time, and it's quite nice to have. We have installed the Elevated Rails Recolor mod, and this changes the barriers around the edge of your elevated railway lines to be yellow, which makes them a bit easier to see, makes them stand out a little bit more over the red ones, and hopefully will make visualization of where your elevated rails are going a little bit easier. We shall see as we get into it. We have the FNEI recipe browser installed. I don't know how useful this is going to be, because the Factorio-Pedia is actually quite good for exploring through recipes, but it will allow us to go in here and go, well, if I'm interested in iron ore, and then, okay, so we're making crushed iron ore out of that, and crushed iron ore can be turned into all of these things. So hot iron plates, okay, fine, and allows you to follow these sort of recipes through. It doesn't show spoilage, interestingly, so it needs to be updated for that, but it allows you to have a bit of a flick through recipes in the same sort of way that the Factorio-Pedia did, and I'm kind of used to FNEI, although I've also got used to the Factorio-Pedia, having been playing 2.0 for a while. We'll see how much it gets used. I'm not sure. I think the Factorio-Pedia might actually be better these days, but you know, it's good to have it there just in case. We have Factory Planner installed, which will tell you what machines you would need to make, for example, 100 logistic science packs per minute or per second, and allows you to get out sort of various useful bits of information about it. Yeah, I have to admit, I don't actually know how to use this mod really, but I might try and have a play with it at some point. There's certainly supposed to be ways to get this to tell you exactly what machines you'll need, with what modules in them and so on, and give you the numbers so you can go in and ratio things very, very easily. Similarly, we have the rate calculator mod, which you drag over things, and it will then tell you the things you've just dragged over are capable of making 1.5 stone furnaces per second. Yeah, this is slightly odd with drills. So it's telling me that they're going to be producing 6.4 per second of stone. However, they're going to be consuming 7.5 a second out of the ground. So does that mean that these have a productivity of less than 1 at the moment? Yes, it does. They've got a productivity up there in the right-hand side of 60% at the moment. So presumably there's some researches I need to do before that'll start working properly. We have a mod called Queue to Front, which is supposed to allow you to set whether researches you set going go to the front or the end or the back of the queue. It doesn't seem to be working though, because I can't find an option for it, and things seem to be going to the back of the queue anyway. But the idea of it is that you can select a thing that you want to do really, really quickly, and it'll send it to the front of the queue like that. But unfortunately, I don't know how to make it work. It's something else to look into, I guess. That brings us to the end of what I've been calling the display mods. Next on the list, we have the quality of life mods, and these are things that change the game in a sort of fundamental way, in some way, shape or form, but they don't really add something into it so much as they just sort of make things a little bit more convenient. That said, the first on the list is actually a genuine addition, because you get this is the Afraid of the Dark mod, where you get these balloon lights, which are good for illuminating large areas of your base. Now that is a largely cosmetic change, I have to admit. Lighting a base up doesn't make it any better defended or anything like that, but it's going to be very good, I think, for a streaming series, because it's going to make it a lot easier to see when the video has been compressed and then sent over Twitch or YouTube. So I thought it was worth having these in here. The next mod we have is the Rail Signal Planner. This allows you to automatically put signals down on your railways, so if I just click on there, you can see it's added in these ghosts for various signals, and if I run around here, my bots will gradually place them all. And this there's a configuration menu for this mod, which allows you to choose how long your trains are, and then and get it all set up so that all of these things can be put in somewhat automatically. and this allows you to signal large areas of railway very, very quickly and easily without having to go along doing it manually, which I always seem to end up doing when I don't use Tristan's blueprints anyway. We have the tile upgrade planner, which does basically what it sounds like. It allows you to upgrade and downgrade tiles. So if I right click and drag across those, they'll all be turned into normal concrete. And if I right click and drag across them again, then we'll turn them into bricks. And obviously that works in both directions. So I can upgrade these ones over here. Can't upgrade the refined concrete because that's already maximum tier. And you can use this to upgrade your tiles between different levels if you want to. Next on the list is the oil outpost planner. One of the frustrating things in vanilla Factorio is setting up mining outposts on for oil patches or anything else that uses a pump jack, because unlike a normal resource patch like iron or copper, you can't just slap in a blueprint over the top of it because the oil patches could be anywhere. So we've got the oil outpost planner where you just drag across an oil outpost and boom! It puts in the ghost like that. For all of your mining, all of your pump jacks and power and pipes to join them all together, and then you just have to join the pipe somehow to a station or wherever you want the oil to go in order to take it away. So this is going to be fantastic use. You saw how easy it was to place that patch there. If we had a bigger one, it would be just as easy. You just drag across the whole thing and then link it up, and you're good to go. So I'm really looking forward to being able to use this one. And as you saw, there are lots and lots of options up here. So you can choose your various different pump types, what sort of electrical poles you want to use, whether you want to put beacons in. There's lots and lots of options in there to set everything up. You can even put in heat pipes on frozen areas. That's amazing. Yeah, so I think this is going to be extremely useful. Similarly, on the mining front, when a drill runs out of resources, it will automatically be marked for deconstruction. This isn't a huge deal, but it means that mining patches will tend to keep themselves tidied up, at least if they're in Roboport range, and they'll remove the drills as they're no longer useful, which means the drills can potentially be used somewhere else, or at the very least you've got a very quick indication at a glance of how much is left in the patch. We have auto manual mode, which means when you get in a train and start trying to move, it will automatically switch over to manual mode to allow you to start using that train, which is going to be very nice. It's just a little thing, so when you start trying to steal a train to use for nefarious transport purposes, you don't have to faff around. Remember to flick it over onto manual mode. You will have to put it back to auto mode when you get out of it, though, I expect. Yes, it's still on manual mode now, even though I've got out. Oh well, can't have everything. And to be honest, you might want to keep the train stolen anyway. There is a mod for changing recipe tiers without actually changing the recipe. So you can alt and mouse wheel over something and change the tier of quality level it's trying to produce. I don't know how useful this is going to be, because you would have to empty the machine anyway if you're changing quality, because the input ingredients would be wrong. But we've added it anyway, so we'll see how useful it turns out to be. Actually, I think it'll be most useful for when I've forgotten to set the quality on something and I go, oh, for goodness sake, and I go back and change it, rather than having to reset the recipe, I can just go whoop, like that. Or one of the things I did quite a lot particularly on Fulgora, where I was doing a lot of my quality stuff, I'd have one of these machines linked up to the circuit network, outputting the ingredients it required, and then I'd have that going into a blue chest, which would then request the things that were required. So that would mean you could just go in and change the quality level, and it would automatically then request the correct thing. So that could potentially be quite useful. We shall see. We have inventory auto repair. So as long as you have repair packs in your inventory, you can pick up a damaged building or entity like that, and it will be automatically repaired in your inventory and then go back into a normal stack. And this is going to be quite nice when you're going out and doing combat and your turrets get a little bit beaten up. You don't have to faff around repairing them manually. They'll get repaired after you pick them up. Now, it's not too cheaty, because they won't get repaired any more quickly than they would if you used a repair pack on them. It's just slightly easier because you don't have to do it manually by yourself. We also supposedly have manual inventory sorting installed, which should allow you to sort inventories in things like chests. But I don't see any actual indication of that at the moment. I thought there was supposed to be a button somewhere very, very obvious. I can't find it. Maybe it'll turn up when we start playing. Okay, so that brings me to the end of the list. Those are all the mods we've deliberately installed. There are a few extra ones that come as prereqs for other mod packs, perhaps as part of one of the planets or as one of the other things we've installed. Like we've got maglev trains in there, for example. We've got a better chat option. We've got the armored biters, which are clearly for the Rimworld planet. We've got alternative accumulators and so on. We've got various things in there that are required for the bits of tech you can unlock on the various different planets. But those are all the mods that we've deliberately chosen and installed ourselves. So I think that should give us a nice set to start with. If you can think of any other planets you think we should install, or perhaps some other quality of life mods you think we've missed out on and will be absolutely kicking ourselves for not including, let me know in the comments or on the Discord, because, you know, it's not too late to add planets in at this point. Otherwise, though, please come along and join us on Monday, the 2nd of June, when we should be starting out on Lignumis and investigating how to get off this slightly woody planet with some slightly weird enemies on it. I'm looking forward to finding out everything is new in the game, and we're planning to do things a little bit differently. So rather than sending each of us off to a different planet like we did in space exploration, we're going to come up with some sort of team-based thing where one person is in charge of each planet, but they'll take a couple of minions along with them to help out and get things up and started and going. So maybe one person will do the train system, one person will go out and set up some mines, another person will set up a main bus, that sort of thing, just to get things up and running and going. And we'll see how that goes, whether it leads to more arguments or smoother play. Who knows? You know, the only way to find out is to come along and join us on the 2nd. So thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you then. That's all of our mods. Goodbye and see you in the stream. Thanks for watching.